If you spend time on the Kentucky State Capitol's third floor, you become familiar with the sights and sounds of the building's historic legislative chambers. Gavel strikes, votes being cast.
Any member wishing to change or explain his or her vote, the clerk will take the roll. The roll call machine.
The points and counterpoints of legislative debate. But for much of the past year, the scene in the Kentucky Senate and House of Representatives has been unlike anything witnessed before. The chambers were emptied and stripped bare. Platoons of workers, woodworkers, painters, builders, electricians, and other skilled craftsmen brought the tools of their trades to the Senate and House for a massive effort to preserve these aging architectural marvels. Their goal, to restore the chambers of the Senate and House of Representatives to the level of splendor Kentuckians saw 106 years ago when our Capitol was brand new.
I'm fascinated by history. I was over here every day, keeping up with the progress, taking pictures. And the history, to see the desk being taken out and turning drawers over and seeing names of people who served in this chamber back in 1910 or the 30s or 40s was fascinating to me. And I would do research on them as I would discover names to find out who they were. So it was a fascinating process, and I was so happy to be a part of it.
No matter their age, the chambers have always been magnificent. But close looks in recent years revealed signs of wear and tear. Cracks had formed in ceilings and walls. A century's worth of scratches were visible on desks. Paint was peeling, brass had lost its polish, and woodwork had lost much of its luster. All pointed to the need for a sweeping effort to restore these parts of the Capitol where so many important moments in state history have occurred.
People have been debating and enacting laws in this chamber for over 100 years. Think about that, over 100 years of public policy, of dynamic personalities, of civil rights struggles. This is a place where the people of the Commonwealth of Kentucky have been represented and will continue to be represented.
Shortly after the General Assembly's 2015 session ended in March, the 138 desks used by lawmakers were carried out of the Capitol. In all, more than 12 tons of antique furniture was loaded onto trucks and taken to restoration experts in Ohio. Once there, a team of 11 woodworking and refinishing specialists worked full-time for more than 6 months to restore each desk to its original glory. Every desk went through a painstaking 34-step restoration process and averaged 50 hours worth of work. All totaled, more than 7,000 man-hours went into restoring these irreplaceable pieces of Kentucky history.
We live in a world that's much more disposable. We live in a world where there's not a lot of value on the way it has been done in the past. And so restoration, preservation is important because the way it was done needs to be retained. It needs to be more of a part of our life instead of tear it down and start over or throw it away and build new. That's the way this generation thinks. And I'm much more excited to see an old piece brought back to life again than I am to make a new one from scratch, because it's just a shame to throw away something that has a historical authenticity and value and personality and character that goes with that. But it's just a lot of satisfaction in watching an old piece be restored and retained as an authentic piece rather than just starting from scratch and making a new piece.
With most of the chamber's furniture 160 miles away, the real work of the chambers began. First up, removing the frayed carpet upon which lawmakers have cast votes for decades. Scaffolding was erected to the ceiling more than 30 feet high. Cracks in plaster were filled, and loose paint was scraped from the ceiling and walls. Painters brushed 124 gallons of paint, specifically selected to be true to the chamber's original design, onto the walls and ceilings. Trim and special ornamental features also received a fresh coat of paint to highlight the chamber's unique design details. Although lawmakers' desks had been removed from the Capitol for refinishing, woodworking craftsmen had to come to the Capitol to work on the mahogany pieces built into the chambers. For part of the summer, the House and Senate looked more like a wood shop than legislative chambers, as wooden furnishings were carefully fixed and refinished. Pieces of some wood designs that had been chipped or broken off over the past 100 years were painstakingly recarved by hand. Once ready, all wood received varnish and lacquer to bring back a shine as bright as it was 106 years ago. By all appearances, the chambers were being restored to their 1910 glory, but something more was happening. At the same time history was being preserved, modern technology was being updated in the chambers. Underneath the floor, an intricate network of outdated wiring was upgraded and replaced with modern cables and equipment. Throughout the chambers, new computers and technological upgrades were installed to ensure that each chamber had the tools needed for the modern-day legislative process.
I've had a lot of people not quite understand the scope of this project. You know, you come in, you leave last year and everything's in place, and you come back and now it looks nice and shiny. It was a mess in here. There's concrete chunks laying everywhere, wire laying everywhere. And I was just glad to be a part of that. It's a historic building, it's beautiful. Now everything's nice and shiny once again. And I think it shows the brilliance that the building really has.
With tens of thousands of feet of new wires running through conduit to each lawmaker's desk and throughout the chambers, concrete was poured to make these tech upgrades a lasting part of the renovations. Once the concrete dried, new royal blue carpet was laid throughout, giving the sense that the chambers were starting to return to their old selves. Unreliable sound systems were replaced in both chambers, as well as a voting system in the House chamber that was left over from another era. The new voting system is a complex assembly of wires connected to each House member's desk that allow information on votes to be reliably tabulated, organized, saved, and shared. The system also includes large LED boards mounted to the head of the House chamber to clearly show how lawmakers vote on the issues under consideration. Among the final renovation touches, heavy brass sconces were removed from the walls so that they could be polished, rewired, and upgraded with energy-efficient LED lighting. With most of the renovations complete, tech upgrades largely in place, dust was swept away and everything was shined to perfection. It was time for the newly refurbished antique desks to return from Ohio. Moving crews worked late into a rainy night to bring these pieces of history back home.
Many of them were faded from the ambient light that's been coming in through the years. Water damage that was happened probably about 5 years ago. We actually had rain. I mean, it was like condensation that actually rained on several of the desks in this area. So they were water damaged, but everything is just beautiful now. Everything is uniform, and it's quite beautiful.
As finishing touches were made, new chairs were put into place and new computer systems received test runs to make sure that they were in perfect working order. Those who made extraordinary efforts over much of the past year and beyond, planning for the changes and making sure that they were executed just right, were able to breathe a sigh of relief. It was now obvious that this massive undertaking had stayed on track and that the chambers looked as majestic as ever.
I think the Kentucky Capitol is sometimes an intimidating building for people. They look at this cathedral of democracy and they feel like you have to have a reservation to come here. You have to be an official lobbyist. That could not be farther from the truth. The legislature is the people's branch of government. We are here to engage with the people. We are so proud of this project because not only have we preserved the history of the Kentucky Capitol, but we have created new mechanisms and new ways for us to grow in the future so we don't have to do a major renovation like this again. This is the people's branch of government, and these chambers are the cathedrals of that branch. And we are so excited to bring this project to the people of Kentucky and to invite them to come into this Capitol and participate in the government that is so important to all of us.